Hello, and welcome to Brick by Brick, where we'll be speaking to younger and older members of the LGBTQIA community, establishing a timeline of the efforts that have brought us this far, and looking forward at the work we still have to do. This show is brought to you by One Roof Chicago, a nonprofit organization dedicated to building a queer, intergenerational housing community on Chicago's South Side. My name is Chijoke Williams. I use she, her pronouns, and today we'll be speaking with Phylis Johnson, whose story fascinates me endlessly. Hello, Phylis.
Hi.
How are you doing today? Jinx.
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing quite well. I'm really happy to have you on today.
Yeah.
Well, let's start with the basics. What are your pronouns?
My pronouns are she and they.
Excellent. And how old are you?
I'm 74.
Wow. All right. So, for the rest of the world at large, I brought Phylis on today because you overlap with a lot of different circles that I do as well, as far as nonprofit circles, queer circles, activism. You've been everywhere and you've done everything. Can you tell, perhaps not everything, but to someone who has a lot left to do, you're quite inspirational.
Okay.
So can you tell the rest of us, what is it that's brought you thus far? What's Phylis' story?
So, I'm part of the baby boom generation, so I was born right before the most recent intense civil rights, well, not the most recent, but a big push for African American civil rights got going. I was 5 when Brown v. Board was decided by the Supreme Court back when they were supreme. And so I've always been involved. I come from a family that craves sports, arts, and public affairs. So I've always been kind of aware internationally about what's been going on. And when this is way back in the way back, but when I was in 8th grade, I took my first class about the Constitution, and I learned that there was this weird old term called habeas corpus, which I now interpret to mean that everybody has a voice. Except when I looked around, everybody did not have a voice. And so as I began to learn more and more about the broader population and how I fit in it, I've always been keen on helping voices come out, because we're going to always be better by that. So I think that's my background. So I started out working in electoral politics initially, and I lived in a neighborhood, at one point, I had a lot of experience in electoral politics, knocking on doors, things like that, from a young age. And when Harold Washington ran for office, I knew there was going to be a rally for him near my house, and no one was leafleting my L. So I went to the headquarters near my neighborhood, near my house, and informed them that they needed to print up flyers for this rally so my friends and I could leaflet. And so we did. And a couple of people from the campaign came along finally. And then they sort of roped me into his campaign. And so I've never really planned to go ahead, but I sort of just get involved.
We love to hear it. And
so I've always kind of been into social justice and trying to find out where it is that people can lead their own way. So I got involved in some political things, some where they said, oh, well, the people are the answer, and I was really happy, except they knew more than the people knew, so I had to get out of that. But that helped me move off of just electoral politics into a broader scope of social justice mostly.
Yeah.
So.
And as far as social justice goes, just for a broad umbrella understanding, can you give me or us a list of some of the orgs that you're a part of or have had a hand in Chicago?
Oh, okay. So Like, I'm on the board of Affinity Community Services, which is an organization dedicated to Black LGBTQ people on the South Side, mostly really looking at women, but not excluding the male side, so. And I'm on the board of my community association. I've had the pleasure of living in West Chesterfield, which is a community on the South Side that was never white. It's the only one. And so we have our challenges too. We're still, even though it's predominantly a homeowner neighborhood, there's a lot of lack of services, a lot of lack of commitment from the people that should be pouring money into us, like the governments. And so we have to struggle, we have to work to make sure that our community is still the warmest, best place to, as we claim, raise a child. We're bordered by an elementary school, a high school, and Chicago State. So, you can learn a lot of stuff in my neighborhood. And I'm also involved in the Intergenerational Dialogue Project, which is a project that comes out of the School of the Art Institute that consciously creates a forum for older folks in the community, the LGBTQIA community, and students at the Art Institute, most of whom, well, I have yet to meet somebody that wasn't queer. So those might be the only people that are attracted. I don't know.
To an arts program or to the Intergen project?
To the Intergen project.
Oh, okay. I mean...
But there are a lot of artists that are...
Yeah, there's some overlap.
There's a lot of overlap, yeah.
So Oh, and there's also... I know this isn't necessarily a current one, but there's also WACT, right?
Oh, right. I helped found Women of All Colors and Cultures together. When I came out, it was just forming. So I came out when I was a full-fledged adult, supposedly. And there was a small group of people that were beginning to look at how do people meet, how do women meet outside of the bar scene and outside of the sports scene, too, because there was the Metropolitan Alliance, Sports Alliance, or Association. I don't know what the A stands for.
Sure. And so it sounds like you've really run the gamut as far as organizing, creating spaces for, and spaces to help queer folks of different identities even. And it starts to make me wonder how you, with your perspective that is spanning all of this time, view organizing and coalition building. You talked about a bit of a people-first approach. Is there a formula that you could pull or a success story that you feel like you could find between and among all of these organizations? What seems to work? What holds people together? What motivates people to keep doing that work?
I think the increasing ability to dialogue with each other, to listen. We're not that far a difference, but we need to be able to find each other, and that's kind of, I think, what's taken me a while to do. To find my identity and to name it. And naming is really helpful. So I think that's like one of my big things, and to be really happy and proud of who that person is. So, one of the things that was really funny is while the Harold Washington campaign was going on, I ended up becoming an organizer for an aldermanic campaign. And I thought it was really funny because there was a restaurant down the street, and if I went in there, my Puerto Rican rice was one price. But if one of the Puerto Ricans went in, the rice was another price, a better price. And who doesn't just love Puerto Rican rice? So, I always had to send someone. Because in Chicago, nobody wants nobody that nobody sent. So,
It's actually funny that you use that phrase. I've heard the phrase, the nobody that nobody sent before. Often when it comes to building nonprofits or bringing people together, kind of in a, I'm nobody special, nobody's asked me to do this, but maybe we can get a lot of nobody specials together
Right.
and kind of,
If we
do
can get
something.
people by nature are leaders, I think, and they need to coalesce with each other. And if all the worker bees come together, all those folks that just want to be like, I'm just helping, we'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I like to think. At the end of the day, I think sometimes we look at everything around us and it can instill a little bit of pessimism. But we have to remind ourselves that the world isn't the way that it is because of human nature. It's because certain systems were introduced, and because they interact with greed in a certain way, they're like self-fulfilling and they keep moving forward.
Yeah.
I like to think that if we didn't have greed and money as this massive thing hanging over people, we would see a lot more of that more often, people coming together.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then again, since we do have, those things to compete with, I'm always thinking about what new ways we can do that. How can we motivate people to work together more so? Which is part of why I got you here.
I think, I really think it's listening. One of the things, professionally, I used to be a teacher, and one of the things I taught was labor relations and negotiations. And so if you're going to be a good negotiator, you have to have some preconceived notion about where you want to go and what the problems are, but you really have to listen. And I just see a lot of not listening. And you've got to ask, wait, what was that? A lot. So that's kind of what I think. And there was a project that went on, and I was really disappointed because I lived too far south for it to work for me unless they went into Evanston or Skokie. But there was something called the MAP project. And what they did is they folded the map and matched people in Chicago and at other ends of the map. Well, I live in 9400, and Chicago goes up to 78, or 76. So north. And so I get missed. But I bet if you talk to people, they'd find, in a sustained way, you'd be able to find some of the fears, some of the commonalities, and be able to resolve them in a way, which I know sounds a little Pollyanna-ish, but, I think that she is right, that there's a lot of, I'm really I'm a person when I have like this material stuff that shows that I'm real, but that's not really what makes you human, so,
Yeah. And to that end, right, and I ask you this specifically because you have the perspective to see those longer term views. You've been around long enough to see it all. Can you give me some examples of times where those in power have actually listened to what the people are saying and change has come about because of it? I think right now people might really appreciate a little bit of hope or some model around what that looks like in practice.
So I think that, I guess one of my favorites is Harold Washington being elected. Harold Washington ran against somebody from his Hyde Park community that was not in favor of people of color. And he won. He won because he put together a coalition of people that said, well, we want all of Chicago. If the floor is higher than it is now, then all of Chicago will be a better place. If we find a way to include women and African Americans and Latinx folks and recognize that there's an Asian population in Chicago, which doesn't get mentioned too often, and there are a lot of people that are pushed to the edges like us, like LGBTQ folks, that there's a brain power in that, and let's exploit it. But I have to tell you that I did become disappointed because what I really wanted to see, if you look around Chicago, you'll see Mayor Johnson brought you this. Mayor Lightfoot brought you this. And I would love to get to the point where the mayor would say, the people of the city of Chicago brought you this. Because we're the ones that bring you stuff.
That's true.
We don't get to take credit for it, but we're the ones that bring you stuff. And so I think what happened with Harold Washington was that, although we're totally surprised that the enormous boom in the generation, in the birth rate, my generation, is now old, because we were born in the 50s, that was predictable. And then population shifts as far back as the 60s said that this was going to be more brown and black community than a white community.
Sure.
That was predictable. And there was a group of people, 29 to be exact, in the city council that that sort of recognized that. I don't know if they recognized it factually or they recognized it just on a fear base, but they were afraid that the black and brown folks were going to treat them as poorly as they treated us.
I think that fear motivates a lot of what we see in politics today.
And, what they don't seem to realize is we all go to the Jewel and they charge us the same price for eggs.
What about the Puerto Rican rice?
Well, that might be a little different.
Separate situation.
Because a lot of times when you've been marginalized and you've been overlooked, you might have a different standard. So if I live in a neighborhood that's being gentrified, then I'm going to say, anybody that's not like me is gentrifying, and that's making my life hard. And so maybe you should pay for it. And that's where I think that came from.
Sure.
So I've lived all around the city, and a few moves ago, I moved from a predominantly Latinx community to a predominantly white community. And I couldn't figure out what was wrong with those beer signs. I didn't know, but there was something off. And it's because they said beer. They didn't say cerveza. But that should be just cool.
Sure.
I mean, maybe I was in Andersonville. Maybe they should have been in Swedish. I don't know.
Is Andersonville a Swedish neighborhood?
Well, there's the Swedish Museum.
I'm learning so
Down
much
on
today.
Clark.
This is why I had you here, Phyllis. I wanted to learn more. I didn't expect this, but I wanted to learn more.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I would love to see coalition building happen in a way that actually gets someone we need elected sometime soon again. However it is that happens, however it is that needs to come together.
That it really comes from the people, not some organization.
Yes. And that kind of leads me into a partial thought in a way that I thought might be kind of fun to end on this episode. In my time at a few different nonprofits, I've noticed that you will see the same person again and again. And I don't mean literally the same person, although you will also see the same person on the board of 4 different nonprofits. The whole we all wear many hats thing is very real.
Right.
That being said, I think you will always find, for example, the idea person, right? When everybody's going around like, okay, we need to have a fundraiser. What are we going to do? And we've got that one person who's like, I know. What if we do T-shirts or advertisements?
But the deal is, we know that idea person because they run their mouths.
Yes, exactly. We all know who it is. We've all got at least one.
But I got to tell you.
Tell me.
There are a ton of idea people out there that are not running their mouths. There are a ton of there are a ton of people that say, oh, so this is what you want to do? Okay, so step 1 is this, step 2 is this, step 3 is this, step 4 is this. Yeah, we can put this together. Let's make a plan. And, if you're going to work together, you need all those different types.
And that brings us to the next part. We've got about 5 minutes left.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you can tell us what are some of the other types, the nonprofit types? Who will we expect to see driving things behind the scenes? You already listed one. If you have the the idea person, you've got the execution person. I feel like is who you listed.
Right.
Who gives you the steps.
And then nowadays because life is a heck of a lot more complicated than it was when I was growing up. A lot more litigious than when I was growing up. So you need people with expertise that can offer guidance. I actually kind of like expertise. I think it's a good thing. Absolutely. But on the other side, people can grow expertise. And so I am the woman that has 2 godmothers, both of whom are younger than me. And they've been very, very smart. And I've benefited a lot from their friendship, but
Yes, absolutely.
I got married because one of them said, "Hey, did you ever think of this?"
Oh.
And my sweetie and I were like, "Hey, those are all good thoughts. Let's think about that, Phyllis. Let's think about that, Robbie." And so, I think that people have mad skills.
Yeah.
And the reason that you see sometimes the exact same person here and there and everywhere is that people know. And so if people think that it's okay to say, that kind of interests me, and let me get engaged, we'd have those different skill sets, those different personality types, and we will be rocking it.
Yeah. It's true. Just got to come together and figure out what that skill set is. So far, it looks like we've got the ideas, execution, and expert, right?
Right.
The person who gives you the idea, the person who tells you how to make it happen, and the one who's already done it before.
You have the person that's done it before, or the person that says, "Oh, well, I can ask a lot of questions."
Sure.
I don't have a clue.
Right, helping and asking questions helps, right? For all of you out there, if you're ever joining something, never just be quiet because you don't know how it works. Ask questions so you can refine the learning process.
Right.
We get here eventually.
Or listen, just say, "Hey, what are they talking about? Why does it work that way?" And you'll figure it out, or you'll figure out what the question is.
Yeah. And to that end, if you could say one thing to someone who wants to end up in a position like yours, having been in several nonprofits, having helped with several motions and actions and changes, how would you motivate people to make a change where they are?
I think that everybody has something that makes them itchy. And so you need to look to find more friends, more associates that have the same itch you have, and get together and see what you can do. And here's the trick. The world doesn't change in a day. And I think that the reason that it's changing back is because my generation achieved some goals and said, "Yay, we're there," without continuing to keep our eye out and keep looking. So there's always going to be something that's going to make you itchy. Or act on it. It's good. It makes all of our lives better.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel accomplished, which is always a good thing.
Yes, it is. And it's especially good to know that you did something in shaping the world that, however long it takes, your community looks the way it does, at least partially because of you.
And partially because I started young.
There's that. Which is a great way to tie all the things back together. Thank you. Because Brick by Brick is an intergenerational show. We like having folks from much younger generations and folks who are much, much older so that we can see those similarities. So we can see people from several different generations all working toward the same things, perhaps different ways, but with the same goals. We all want to come together. Yeah. We all want to make the world a better place.
And we're a team. Humans are a team animal. So we need our team.
For social.
Or teams. You can be a player on this team and on that team and on the other team. It's good.
It's okay to be intersectional as long as you're working for all of us.
Hey, I like it.
Thank you. And with that, it's the last minute of Brick by Brick. Thank you so much for coming on, Phyllis. It was great to have you.
I enjoyed talking with you. Thank you.
I'm so happy. Thank you. And you all have been watching Brick by Brick, presented by One Roof Chicago. If you have any more questions, you can look up oneroofchicago.org, look up One Roof Chicago on Instagram, or search for Brick by Brick on YouTube. We'll see you again.